rolling.
We're rolling. All right. Good afternoon. I'm Mike. This is Anna. And we're here installing a winch on Anna's 2002 Jeep TJ. We got a winch on sale from Harbor Freight. Was it 40% off?
40% off.
So that made it less than $200. So pretty good deal. So we figured we'd give it a try. So today we're just going to look at installing the winch, what it's going to take to do it, and hopefully it won't be too bad.
Yep.
We're hoping we can get it done in a few hours. So let's look at the winch that we have to install. All right, so what we got here, we got the Harbor Freight Badlands 9500 winch and with the steel cable. And it looks pretty good, feels pretty solid. I know there's a lot of debate about whether or not these are worth anything, but we're going to find out for the price. Figured can't really go wrong. Came with just about everything you need. It even came with this nice little disconnect. We'll go over getting that installed. All the hardware is here. Cables, the winch control, hook, everything we need. Now, we did end up buying the Rough Country winch plate that's made for the Jeep TJ. We did try the Harbor Freight universal winch mount, which would have worked just fine, but it really did not fit the factory holes on the Jeep. So there would have been a lot of cutting and drilling and all that, which you could do, obviously. I think that winch plate was about $50. This one was about $60, so we figured for the $20 and probably the hour or so of modifications time that we would have spent, it was worth spending the extra $20. So what we got, very nice, powder coated, good finish on it, and it just lays right on the front. We'll show you where it mounts to the existing bolt holes for the tow hooks and the sway bar mount. All right. So let's get started on the install.
Alright, we got 4 bolts to take off to remove the sway bar cover. So we got a 3/8 socket. Get these off. Come right out. Alright, come right out. Alright, we got a T55 to remove the factory tow hooks. It's longer than I thought it was. Okay, next we're going to remove these 2 front bolts right here. It is a 9/16.
All right, so you only took the fronts off.
Yes.
All right. All right, so now we have our Rough Country winch mount plate. We're just going to lay on the front since Anna took the bolts out. And she'll come over here with the camera. You can see how these holes line up pretty much perfectly on here. Now what we're going to have to do in the back where the sway bar mount is, we're going to need to put a little spacer under there. If you come around on the side and just look in from the side, you can see there's a gap. So I don't know, I'm gonna look, we might have some spacers or some washers. We'll put something in there to take that gap up. Probably we'll put a bolt in to kind of cinch the bumper down, because you can see it moves. So we'll get it down to where it needs to be, and then see what kind of spacer we need to go in there. All right, so we're getting ready to go ahead and mount the winch on the winch plate before we actually put it on the Jeep. We've looked at that. That looks like the best way to do it, because once you put the winch plate on, you're really not going to have good access to the mounting points on the winch. So what we have for the winch, you have these square nuts. They're going to drop in the mounting locations on the winch. Drop in there. These will go in up here. Since I got it on the side, it won't stay up there. But anyway, we're going to go ahead. Probably the best thing to do, I'm guessing, is going to be to lay this upside down here. So we're going to lay that upside down, and then we'll get these bolts or these nuts in here like so. I can find the other one. We're going to do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the winch plate and flip it over. And set it on there like so. And you can see how all that's going to line up. We'll get these bolts on here. We're going to put the washers and the lock washers on there, and we'll get that bolted up. All right. So before we mount this winch plate on here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut the cable loose, because it's got to be fed through the winch plate. Like so. A little bit of a struggle there, but I think we got it. Alright, after fighting with this thing a little bit, we got the winch cable through where the fair lead's going to go. So now I'm just going to put the hardware in here. And you kind of got to get it all lined up, but we'll get it on there. So these are 5/8. So we'll get these on here, and then we'll snug them up. Make sure I got it kind of square. All right, we'll come back and get those with a regular wrench. All right, we're just going to torque these winch mounting bolts down real good with a manual wrench ratchet. All right, got that. All right, so we got the winch on the winch plate. We're getting ready to set it on the Jeep. The winch plate mount came with a bag of hardware, which is really good, because we thought we were going to have to make our own spacers, but you'll need this spacer right back here where the sway bar mount is. So we got 2 spacers. You can see they're really just kind of thick washers. We're just going to lay those on there, and then we're going to get the winch plate and carry it over and sit it on. Careful, don't mash your fingers. On there, get some bolts started. Full disclosure on this install, we had taken these bolts loose Well, we had actually, I soaked them with some PV Blaster before we started working on it. So they did come out pretty easy. This Jeep's in really good shape, not a lot of rust issues, but we did find like this one bumper bolt. You can see that it's pretty eat out through here, but we're just going to go ahead and reuse it for now because it's what we have. All right, so this hardware kit came with some bolts for the sway bar mount, and as you can see, the original mount, which is here in this hand, is much shorter. So with the hardware kit, we're going to use the bolts that came with the hardware kit, since the thickness of the mounting plate with that spacer, these original bolts don't really grab that great. So we're going to put the ones that came in the kit with it. Be a 3/4, no, 11/16. Using 11/16 for the sway bar mount bolts that came with the kit. We started this ratchet here. Extension on. Maybe where's my extension? Now we're getting some. All right, we're not going to snug those all the way up yet. I mean, we just did it with an impact driver. We'll come back and get them with a ratchet. Make sure they're on there good and tight, but it's on there good now. So we'll continue on, probably get started with our wiring.
All right, we've got 4 Phillips head screws to mount the control box to the top of the winch here. These were included with the hardware.
You boys aren't being much help.
No.
Can you go help her? Mm-hmm. Go tell her what to do, Zeus. Go tell her what to do. Can you tell her what to do? All right. So now we got the control box mounted, and I'll take the camera. Now we have to make all the wiring connections. As you can see, we ran the main hot wire already back through the grill. There's just a, I don't know if you can get in there and see, but if you kind of pull this little flap back here, this little, probably just to keep the air focused towards the radiator, you can kind of pull that back. And on the inside, you'll see there's a big enough hole you can feed that wire through there. There's nothing real sharp. It's all kind of rounded edges. Now what we'll have to do, we'll probably tie this up, keep it from making contact with these screw heads or any kind of rough edge, because this will vibrate going down the road or on the trail, so you don't want it to rub against anything, get chafed. But we've run it up here. We'll show you in a few minutes how we're going to make our power connection to the battery. But anyway, we've got that done. Now back down here at the control box, it's pretty nice. The winch came with the boots and everything, but you'll notice the heat shrink they put on here matches to where you make the connection. So red goes to red on that lug there. We have yellow. Yellow is going to go to that lug, and then the blue goes to the blue lug down here. So we'll get those connections made up and keep on going. All right, we're on with electrical now. So we've got our negative and positive cable running up here to where our battery is located. Now let me show you something we forgot that was kind of a pain. Make sure you connect this negative cable to the bottom of this switch here, to the bottom of your winch. There's a lug down there, and once you get it on, mounted up, that's kind of hard to get to. So it would be good to do this before you mount the winch on the winch plate. But anyway, we got all our control box hooked up. We have our positive and negative cable running up here to where our battery is. Now what we did, we took this fuse center loose. There's some little tabs that pry back on here. Yeah, I think I just broke one, but yeah, oh well.
That's all right.
They just pry back. Obviously, you got to be careful, old plastic. So I can lift this out of the way. I ran our cables up under here. We're going to put our disconnect switch here, which came with the winch, which is really, really nice. So your positive, we're going to come off our fuse panel, fuse center to the disconnect, and then to the winch. We'll show you how all that works once we get it hooked up. But what we did, this was just a piece of scrap I had laying around. Just drilled some holes in it for that. Used some self-tapping screws to mount this plate to the mounting point of the fuse center. So that's kind of how we did that. You can do yours however you want. That we kind of like the look of that. We'll show you what it looks like when we get it all set up. Okay, getting wiring done. All right, so this is our disconnect switch that came with the kit. So again, we've got our mounting plate. So this lead here is going all the way to the winch. This lead here is going to come over here on the fuse center, and we've got 12 volts right there. So I like the idea of connecting here better than connecting directly to the battery. That way you got to change your battery, you don't have another cable here to mess with. So anyway, that's how we're going to do ours. Whatever you're comfortable with is fine, but I did check, we've got 12 volts right here, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, we got to put our fair lead on, and one thing we discovered, we've got it all mounted up on the Jeep, everything's torqued down. The directions say to feed this bolt from the back side through this hole. Well, there's no way once you get it all bolted up to do that, so I guess we should have done all that first. But what we're going to do is we're just going to go through from this side, put the nut on back there, and ours will just be backwards. But we're okay with that. We don't, that's not a big deal. So we need to feed the winch cable through here. So we got that through there. And then we need to put the bolts in. So we got like that. This is and you might have to put the camera down. All right, we got the fair lead back on, which is good. That was very difficult. Make sure you put this on before you put the winch on. Mount that to the winch plate. So we're putting our hook on. We want our hook to come over here where we can hook it to this tow hook to store the cable. So we're going to make sure that we have it in such a manner that that will work. So we're going to put our pin through here like this, and you have a cotter pin. It goes through there like so, and you're just going to bend that around. I'm going to need to get some pliers to do it though, because I can't hold it with my fingers. We're good to go with that. All right, so we think we got everything hooked up. Let's see what we got going on.
All right, I'm gonna plug in control here. You line up that white part with that white arrow right there. Goes right on there. We're gonna turn it on our switch here. All right, and see what we can do.
it back in.
Yep.
Alright, hold on. Okay, reel it in slowly. Just bump it. Bump it. Like you're good.
Alright.
So this wrench also has, you can freewheel to pull it out. So you would just take this to free spool and you'll see that frees it up. You can just pull it out, but we're not going to do that. So we ran our wires through here. We got them all tied up. Made sure we didn't touch anything that's going to short out our wires. We did decide to go ahead and connect directly to the battery terminals. We talked about connecting in here. We did that, but we could not close the cover because of this little piece right here. I tried to file a hole in it. That wasn't enough. The cover wouldn't snap down. We figured it's better to be able to close that, keep moisture out. So we just opted and went back to connecting directly to the battery terminals. But anyway, installation complete. Seems to work pretty good.
Alright, we've got a cover here from Amazon. I think it was, what, like $15 maybe?
Pretty good.
It says it's weatherproof, UV, all that stuff. Feels kind of like a wetsuit. Stretchy. It's got straps, so we're gonna see how to best put this on there.
Looks like it fits pretty good.
It's pretty good. Figure out putting the straps under it. Not getting too twisted up.
I like the idea of a strap.
Yeah. Keep it secure.
Do you need to cinch the straps down after you hook them, or are they on there pretty tight?
I think I'm gonna cinch them down a little bit. Good. Good. That one already cinched a little bit.
Cool.
Pretty good. Yep.
Alright. Covers it up, keeps the weather off of it. Now one thing we didn't do with our winch installation, we're probably going to come back and do, is the cover for the sway bar mounts. We trimmed up the plastic cover for that. Kind of per the instructions. We did a little bit more. We notched out here. Basically, it said to come along this edge and then come in and trim up here like we did, but it still doesn't fit right. It'd be really hard to get the bolts in it, and so we may do some more trimming. We may come up with something other than that, where maybe we just put a little cover over top of the sway bar mounts. Not sure yet. When we do that, we'll show you a video of that. But anyway, winch installation complete. We'll shoot a demo of how well it works.